Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Yeah. How you doing? Welcome. It's a Monday, snowy Monday, January 24th, 2022. I'm going to start out a little slowly here, like I like to do on Mondays, because, I've had a respite from having to think too much about a lot of what's going on. And a lot of what's going on ain't great. But I thought I'd sort of take it down to a micro level to my life for just a little bit, if you'll indulge me. And I thank you for it. Something interesting happened to me this weekend. I ordered delivery from a restaurant, and I was really wanting what I had ordered. You know, when you have a craving for something. I'm not going to share with you my culinary desires, but because they're often embarrassing. But I was really waiting, and then finally came, and I ran to the door. I collected it. I eagerly unwrapped it. I was puzzled because there were like these two big things in it, and neither bore any resemblance to what I had ordered. And I thought, oh no, what is this? And I opened up one of the big things, and it was like a kind of, I don't know, big kind of burrito-ish thing with an undetermined kind of protein source and other stuff. And I thought, no, this is not what I wanted. And then I thought, what am I supposed to do? Call the restaurant, screw it. Some food has arrived. Eat it. Somebody else has yours. I hope they enjoy it. But the reality is that the difference between the two orders, that whoever's food I had, probably, I was thinking, isn't going to like what they got. So I'll let them call the restaurant and complain. I'll eat this, whatever it is. So I took one tentative bite, and I thought, not bad. But what is that? Let's just say this. I scarfed up both. I mean, it was obviously dinner for two people. I started to not eat the burrito part, the carb part, just eating the food. It was incredible. So I want to say that I just hope the people who got mine enjoyed it half as much as I enjoyed their order. I still wish I knew what the hell that was. It was good. So sometimes mistakes, turn out okay. I, as you know, watch Jeopardy on occasion. Less and less so now, because also, as you know, I really don't like when the show is taken over by an incessant smarty pants winner, and nobody who they bring on has a shot against her. Nobody. So my enjoyment of and this has nothing to do with the current champ, Amy Schneider. It has to, as anybody who's listened to me knows, I went nuts for for some reason this year, the last year and a half, just all of a sudden someone will come on and take over the show, and that's it. And so it becomes not a game show. It just becomes another kind of show where you I guess, revel in a winning streak. But that's not my idea of a good time. It is not. I'm always, maybe people watch because they don't want to miss the time somebody knocks her off. I don't know. I don't get it. And in fact, I was happy to see. My understanding is that the ratings, I, as usual, am not speaking for most people. The ratings are sky high. So most people like it when one person monopolizes the winnings. And so Jeopardy is perfectly happy. Their ratings, I guess, are higher than they've been since Alex Trebek's demise. So it's not that I have any animus toward the current champ or the champ before. But what I like about the game is that it's a game where regular people like me can, have the fun of going up against other. It's why is everything in our country seemingly heading into monopolistic territory? I mean, it's like, and people enjoy that, watching one person, one entity have it all. So I was happy to see. I just want to share this with you, if I could find it, that, God's sakes, I can't find it. I must have dreamt it. Another champion, Jeopardy champion, who I guess got a lot of wins himself, and I don't even remember his name, so I'm not going to be able. But he apparently wrote a piece in, I'm sort of remembering, a Boston newspaper, in which he decried, much as I have, this monopolization by one player of a beloved game show. And I'm just going to, just so I know now, I have some people who agree with me. So he says this, it's just unfair. He says, because after about, and he would know this, after about 2 or 3 wins, the winner has such an advantage over any of the challengers because they've really gotten down using that buzzer, which is very important. That's the one part that doesn't have to do with your smarts. It has to do with your reflexes. And also, if somebody's been on for a long time, they're totally comfortable, not nervous wrecks. They're comfortable in the studio. That gives them a head start. And they just understand the rhythm of the game. They're comfortable, they're quick on the buzzer, and clearly they're smart as hell. And then the challengers who are coming in are walking in there, and they don't have a chance, as we've seen. And mostly that's because after such a long run, whoever is in that position has mastered at that point the mechanics and the mechanics of the game. And they also are smart as hell. And this guy, and I'm sorry, I don't know who he is. He's not one of the more famous ones, but he won a lot himself. He says, if you've done that for 8, 9, 10 games, you really need to go away. But he says, the ratings are up. And people want to treat it like a sport and professionalize it. Well, I don't. The beauty of the game and why America's loved it for so long is that it allows regular folks to compete. And this is not a competition anymore. It's watching 2 sacrificial lambs get humiliated by party pants. He says, if you want to treat it like a sport and professionalize it, why don't you just move it to Vegas? He says the whole charm of the show, well, he's saying what I said, was to celebrate ordinary Americans showing what they knew. It was not supposed to be 38-45 games of Hulk smash. But I think ratings are up. But I've had it. So anyway, that was not my point. I was going to say I did watch Jeopardy, maybe Friday. And after Jeopardy comes Wheel of Fortune, which is a game that people who are not totally extraordinarily brilliant can win. Much more democratic. And it's of much less interest to me, besides the fact that Pat Sajak makes my skin crawl. However, one of the things I've loved, because I've often seen the beginning of Wheel of Fortune, is the introduction of the three players. And it's so wooden and so unnatural because they've obviously been coached. All the contestants say the same thing. Well, I'm a school teacher and I'm married to my wonderful husband of 25 years and we have 3 children, and then they try to remember their children's names. And sometimes it's amazing, they stumble, especially with grandchildren. And obviously that has to do with it, I think. But what I've loved about that little tilted moment is that over the years, that show has normalized what used to be actually, I guess, criminal marriages. I remember the first time it was, sometimes they do couples, and it was, interracial couple. I thought, yes, this is great, because this is, this goes out to all of America. And so it normalizes interracial marriage. And then it began normalizing gay marriage so that people would show up, or a guy would say, yes, I'm married to my wonderful husband. And you think of how, the first time I heard that, I thought, oh my God, there's people in Paducah right now who have passed out. They're fainting. Did he just say my husband? But I really appreciated this aspect. And it's how, in a funny way, television can move the culture in the right direction, in seeing things that were before considered, why, it's an outrage, absolutely normal. But I swear to God, and I ran and wrote it down. I was in the kitchen and I heard a guy say this. And please, somebody tell me that you heard it too. When I ran in, he was a strange looking guy. I'm trying to remember. I think he had a funny little goatee-ish thing, beard. And he just looked a little, different. And here's what I heard. Yes, Pat. And I'm married. They always have some are handsome husband or wonderful husband, or, it's just that you put in a nice adjective and then, your spouse. I swear he said, and I built this up too much. I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. But at the time, it struck me as, what? He said, I am married to my exotic wife, etc. What? I'm telling you, it sent me running in from the kitchen to see who. What did he just say? I am married. This is on this like just middle America show. I am married to my exotic wife, etc. Oh, anyway, I just had to share that, and I'm still wondering if I dreamt it. I didn't. Where would I even come up with that? That's Pat, and I am. Okay, I'll stop now. Forgive me, but I'm going to talk football for just a sec. As you know, I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Grew up there. My mom still lives there. I went to Packer games from the age of, I don't know, 6, 7. I recall going to Packer games before they ever built Lambeau Field. And the Packers used to play in what is now my high school stadium. And it was just this, it was at the time pretty rickety. It just had, all bleacher seats, and you could see down to the ground. There was nothing on it. It was, anyway, I do and have been a Packer fan all my life. So when the Packers are winning, I'm happy. Like, when the Steelers are winning, those are my two teams. I assumed the Packers were going to win Saturday night, and they did not, nor did they deserve to. And as I watched that game in astonishment, a team that had looked like Super Bowl caliber all of a sudden looked like just the worst. And I was stunned. I mean, it was played in Green Bay. It was played, in Green Bay weather with wind chills below zero and snow falling, which is always how the Packers love to play. And they blew it to a totally the 49ers. You got to be kidding me. The only thing I can say about their quarterback, who's pretty damn hapless, is he's gorgeous. Somebody suggested that now Aaron Rodgers' most despised Italian is no longer Dr. Fauci. It's Garoppolo, San Francisco quarterback. Anyway, but that began a weekend of upsets, because before that game, the home team, the number 1 seed, had been upset by who? That upset was the Bengals. Gee whiz, the Bungles, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, the Bungles? I was rooting for the Bengals. I was. So they upset as a visiting team a number 1 seed, as San Francisco upset a number 1 seed as a visiting team. I love it. And then yesterday, there were 2 of the really best football games I've seen in forever. And what it's just amazing. And the only people who didn't get the memo was Kansas City, because they're the only home team managed to win. They did it in overtime. And guys, if you didn't, I feel for anyone who's not a football fan at this point. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. In the space of the last, not even 2 minutes of that game, I believe it was 1 minute and 54 seconds, the 2 teams, Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills, scored 25 points. In a minute and a half, 25 points were scored. The lead went back and forth, and people were, it was like, hey, a win. And then, oops, no, a win. Nope, oops. I mean, I have never seen such an amazing game. That might be one of the best football games ever saw in my life. And unfortunately, I was so rooting for Buffalo. Didn't make it. Anyway, I tweeted something out because I feel guilty watching football. Although that really disappeared this weekend because I really enjoyed those games. I feel guilty because I hate the brutality of the sport. I hate it. We don't even blink when, let's go to a commercial because there's some guy lying half dead on the field. We don't want you to have to look at that. They'll cart him off and then we'll come back. And, and knowing how this affects these players potentially after they leave the sport. I mean, it's brutal. And I hate the organization, the NFL. And I want to underscore that right now for a bit. You know how many football head coaches there are in the entire NFL that are black? You know? This is a sport in which, I don't know, 60%, maybe more, of the players are black. How many head coaches are black? Eh? Well, anyone living here should know this. One. It's 2022. One. Mike Tomlin. And there's always a lot of people around here calling for his head, when if he were a white guy, they would not, because his record is Hall of Fame caliber. One. Season started, I think, with 3, but 2 of them have already been fired. Black coaches over and over and over are given teams that are pathetic. You finally get a chance. That was not the case with Tomlin. You finally get a chance, and you're given the Detroit Lions. You're finally given a chance, and you're given the Houston Texans. Nobody can win. And then after they don't win, have a winning season, their first season, they're thrown out. A white coach is not. And people have done the math. White coaches get forgiven. They get second chances. Even when they're awful and get fired, another team picks them up. So when this became a big issue back in the day, what did actually, you know what? It was Johnny Cochran, the O.J. Simpson attorney. If the glove fits, you must acquit. Is that what he said? Johnny Cochran in 2002. He didn't sue, just put out a report entitled Black Coaches in the NFL. And it showed that over a 15-year period, hear this, black NFL coaches averaged more wins than their white counterparts, and yet had harder times getting hired and were more likely to get fired. Now, he threatened to sue the NFL. But the NFL, being a nimble corporation, decided, okay, well, never mind. We're going to get on top of this. And so they created a committee. And that committee was headed by Dan Rooney, the late Dan Rooney, owner, president of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And as I'm sure you know, Rooney's committee put together a report, and it became known as the Rooney Rule. which was adopted immediately by the NFL. And all the Rooney Rule, I remember when it came, I thought, this is a big deal. The Rooney Rule said that any club that's looking to hire a head coach must interview at least one minority applicant. That was the Rooney Rule. Big deal. You just had to interview one black person. That was 19 years ago. Let me tell you something. When the Rooney Rule was written, there were 3 black head coaches. And as I just said, today, there is one. Mike Tomlin. So I guess that doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I just wanted to point that out and say that I'm ashamed that I still am able to be hooked by a game that is brutal and truly harms many of the players it exploits. But I can't quit it. Not when there's such extraordinary entertainment as I had last night, which says something about me. I'm just saying. Okay, that's my mea culpa. Oh, Milton, you found it? I didn't dream it? Oh, how did you even find that? So he found on Reddit, somebody posted, he referred to his wife as my exotic wife, Excitra. So somebody did, I love it. Okay, I didn't dream it. Whew. You know, you get a little nervous when you've been sort of holed up by yourself and a dog, other than a dog, and you might start hearing things or seeing things. So thank you, Milton. That's right, his exotic wife, Excitra. I also mentioned last time we spoke about a tweet I had seen that I just loved. And it was from, I wasn't sure, it was a Bethel Park coach, high school coach, either football or wrestling, I said. Well, it was the football coach. And the reason I know that is now everybody picked up the story. The Washington Post had a big story. Headline here is, after a storm, school football coach told players to find an elderly or disabled neighbor and shovel their driveway. Don't accept any money. It's our Monday workout. So this thing has just taken off. Turns out, though, the coach who tweeted that is not the coach who dreamed this up, that this has been something that Bethel Park has been doing for some time, apparently. Anyway, the kids did. A lot of you folks in Bethel Park had your driveways shoveled by young football players. And the football players enjoyed it because, yeah, you feel good. But it turns out that this was a somewhat of a ritual that was started 20 years ago by a former head coach, a guy named Jeff Matheny, who is now retired, but he's still around. So I just wanted to say that I was taken by the tweet And it turns out I was not alone, and that a lot of folks had. I got a caller? Wonderful. Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
Hey, this is Clarence from Canonsburg.
I recognize your voice after all these decades.
Oh, yeah. It's been like 30 decades. I don't know if you know that.
Well,
3 decades.
it could well be.
3 decades. It's definitely. My first phone call to you was during the Gulf War. Yeah.
Were you for it? Were you for it or against it, Clarence?
What I was upset that
what?
Because I knew people. This is my first war. I wasn't too young to know anybody in the Vietnam War. This is my first war, and so
Wow.
to me, people I know who are in the service are going to war, and so I had to know everything about it. And I was working at designing T-shirts at the time at a T-shirt place, and my boss wanted me to create a Saddam Hussein with a target on him T-shirt, to sell. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. We had like this big debate. It's like, it was like, because everybody's like, get Saddam Hussein, all this kind of good stuff. And
it shows you did not have good entrepreneurial skills, because that would have been a big money maker.
It would have been a huge money maker.
Yeah.
In fact, it was a huge money maker.
Yeah.
She found
someone else.
Well, they found decals that they can iron on shirts to sell them. But I wouldn't do it because I'm not going to profit off of war. I just couldn't do it.
For you.
It's not my nature. But I was calling about watching football games because I don't. And I know what I do, and do is a funny word. what I do is I can't remember exactly when it started, but it started last year or the year before. I watch highlights on YouTube. But I used to watch only the Steelers. Somebody said, "Oh man, there's all over Facebook. Did you see this? Did you see that?" I'm like, "Did you see what?" And I could watch this play. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I'm like, "Oh, I can watch all the great stuff of a football game in 12 minutes." So I actually, I would watch the Steelers, and I think last week I watched the Steelers play, or the week before, who knows, I can't remember, the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm like, whoa, those guys are bad. I was like, those guys are good. And then I watched I watched the highlights of the Buffalo game. Just right before your show, I was watching Buffalo and Kansas City, the highlights. I was like, and I'm sitting there just as like, oh, no, they won. Like, oh, no, they didn't. They won. Oh, no, they didn't. They won.
It was amazing.
But I did it in 17 minutes with only like 2 commercial breaks. and on YouTube, you can hit skip ad. You watch 5 seconds to hit skip ad. So if you want to, I'm trying to give you an alternative to sit there watching old football games and feeling guilty. You just, the advertisers and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, it's true because, when you think about it, the game is there's supposedly 1 hour of play in a game, and actually it takes 4 hours pretty much, right? Mm-hmm. And even in that 1 hour, a lot of it is not even, exciting. It's like, calling a play or a huddle, the clock's still running, blah, 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 blah. There's very little action. And you could, boil it down to like,
the good
I don't know, 10 minutes. Yeah.
Normally they're, this one was a little bit longer. Like normally they're about 12 minutes. And in that 12, you're just sitting watching the highlights, the best passes, the best catches, the best hits. You know what I mean? I even saw the missed field goal attempts, because that's unusual. It's a highlight. And one of the field goals went off a pole. So the guy said, "How often do you see that?" I was like, look at this. This is, like you said, I didn't see the whole game, but that must have been the best game I've ever seen. I didn't even see the whole game.
Yeah, but you know what you miss? But what you miss is the sort of the drama of like, building and building and building. Because if you do it that fast, you're not getting the whole experience.
Well, I tell you what, I got the drama because even at the, because I thought the game was over. I'm looking at the little time thing. I was like, oh, they're never going to score in 2 minutes. And then there was like 2 more scores in 2 minutes. So it was like, oh, then they goes like, oh wow, that's amazing. But I can actually tell. I said, wait, something's going on here, because normally, if the winning score, they'll just stop the highlights. There's nothing to go after they win. But there was like another couple of minutes.
Going.
Yeah, they kept going. Like, what's going on? And who's the little dude?
Right. How wasn't that the end? When you see, there's 4 more scores to come.
Yeah. But I have to say, I don't watch much football, but that little dude, I think he's for Buffalo. He's tiny, and he is fast as hell. I went, holy God, that guy's quick.
I love Buffalo. I love that team. I love their quarterback. I just love them. They're my team now. I love them. I'm wishing them all the best next year.
And nobody pointed out, but I'll do it. The Chiefs beat the Buffalo. It's been going on since the inception of America. Buffalo has been losing. Was that?
I know. I cannot root for Kansas. I like Mahomes and all that, but I cannot root for a team that's still, doing the Indian crap. I cannot do it. I can't do it. Screw them. And I can't root for the 49ers because they're the jerks who destroyed Colin Kaepernick. He was their quarterback. So I'm left with the Bungles and the Rams. Those are my guys.
And like I say, the thing is, I don't know anything about, that's, they're going to the championship. I'm like, okay. But I do like the highlights, the cool stuff, because I played, I was, I played sports. Yeah, well, I played football only 1 year, but I played basketball most of my time, and I'll watch basketball highlights. I don't root for anybody. I just want to see what's cool. That was cool. What a cool shot. What a cool hit. What a cool catch. Yeah. He caught that.
Right.
But right. So I don't really, even like as a Steeler, as a Pittsburgher, I'm really not, because I always like miss. I still, you'll hear me say, Coach Cower, and they're like, who? I was like, wait, what's his name? What's the coach's name again?
All right.
Okay.
Well, I'm never going to be able to do it because I just can't. I keep trying, and I definitely don't watch much during the season. But when things get really condensed, it's like same with hockey. I don't watch till the playoffs are well underway. So I don't know what that makes me.
Like what? Like just like what?
Playoffs, hockey. The playoffs. I don't watch.
What is? Oh,
right.
That's that white guy sport. Okay, yeah, I know.
There's more and more black guys in it. There's more and more black guys. I mean, I remember the first time I saw a black guy on the ice. I thought, what the heck? What? And it's not quite as astonishing, although it is still pretty.
I'm sorry. Just give me another 10 seconds. I went to a hockey game with Blovius and his grandson when they were here, and a few years ago. And this is my only time I went to a Penguins game, and I'm like walking around, and I said, Mark, you got to take a picture of me. So, and then I posted on Facebook. The only black things I seen at this game were me and that puck. Because there was I didn't see anybody. That was it. Except me and the puck, and the guys who work at the PPG, whatever that is. Yeah, that was it.
Stand. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks. Bye. Oh God. Oh man. Now, isn't this better than talking about the end of the nation, the world, the country, the democracy? Isn't it? Huh? Hey, help me here. The little. This is something that I saw also over the weekend, and I thought, what? When you're playing with a little kid. Oh God, I've got so many callers here. But here's this. I'm just going to throw this out there. When you're playing with a little kid and you grab a little toe and you say, "This little piggy went to market, and this little piggy stayed home. This little piggy had roast beef, and this little piggy had none. And this little piggy went wee all the way home." somebody pointed out that this little piggy went to market. What did you think when you heard that? I always saw like Petunia Pig dressed up with a little purse, and she went to the market. What I saw suggested, are you kidding? That's not what it means. This little piggy went to market means it was slaughtered. And I thought, what? What? How could that be? That cannot be. That cannot be. But now I'm thinking maybe it was. What do you think? This little piggy went to market. I hate to disabuse you, but just saying. Okay, caller. Hello.
Jonathan.
Hello. Jonathan.
Hey, Lynn, it's Jonathan.
Hi.
How are you? Okay.
I'm fine. Now, what do you think about that? Could it be? What did you think when this little piggy went to market? What was the image in your head?
Oh, a little cartoon pig with a shopping cart, maybe a bonnet.
Me too.
Yeah.
But do you think it really meant that it got slaughtered?
Well, now I do. Thanks. Appreciate that. Not to a kosher market. We know that. So.
No, it didn't go to the kosher market. Yes. So what's up?
First of all, about Excitra. I saw it on Reddit too after you mentioned it, and I don't know if you scrolled down to see some of the comments.
No.
But one person said that sounds like either an artificial sweetener or a sex toy.
Yeah, right. I agree. I think more like a sex toy.
Right. And about football, I'm like you. It's a guilty pleasure. Yeah. You know, I hate that I love it, but I love it. And this weekend's games, you know, the fact that the first three all came down to a final kick to determine a winner.
Unbelievable.
Just incredible. And that, the last game, the Kansas City game, I was thinking to myself, and you just said it, unbelievable tends to be an overused term. But there were times at the end of that game that I thought, I don't believe what I'm seeing. It was like an implausible movie, and you know, like an Ollie Frazier of
no, really, it's true. And you know, you think for the real fans, because I'm not in Buffalo or Kansas City. My God, 1 minute, the extraordinary elation and celebration, and 2 seconds later, the disbelief and misery, and then elation, and then misery. I cannot even imagine that kind of emotional roller coaster.
Oh, yeah, and I was rooting for Buffalo, too. I really like Josh Allen. I like their whole team.
Oh, he's wonderful.
And after he threw the one pass in the end zone, and they have the shot of his family in their box, and they're all going crazy and crying, and just incredible. Yeah,
oh, God.
But I have one daughter who really doesn't like sports at all, and we were talking about it, and I said to her, the thing about sports is, you never know when it starts. If you're going to see something you've never seen before, the outcome's not determined. It might be boring. It might be amazing. I love movies, but basically, you know, the good guy's going to win or whatever. But with sports, that's real drama. It's amazing.
That's right. And when it really delivers, wow.
Yes.
I mean, the NFL brass has to be beyond joy, which pisses me off, because this weekend was some of the best football I've ever seen.
Oh, and I saw a stat over the weekend about the percentage out of 100 television events in 2021. What number were NFL games?
Yeah, that's right. No, they are the biggest entertainment
amazing.
Company in the universe. It's like almost all of the most watched shows for the last 30 years, right? More, 40, I don't know.
Absolutely, and it's one of the few things that people want to watch
can
live
do together. And that we all, no matter our politics, enjoy.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
So where we don't mix anymore, in all of those stadiums, all those people out there, all those Packer fans sitting for 4 hours in sub-zero temperatures to watch their team lose were Trump supporters and Biden supporters.
Yeah.
And they did it together. Yeah.
They did it happily together.
They did it together. Right.
Nice and distracted.
And that doesn't,
right.
yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. Oh.
No. Great
No.
talking to you, Lynn.
Wonderful always to talk to you.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye. I have another caller. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hi, this is Roger from Bellevue. I was just following up what Clarence was saying about YouTube TV. I guess I don't know if he's watching YouTube or YouTube TV, because there is a difference. But anyway, because my wife and I finally made the switch from FiOS to that, because we went from paying $220 a month to $90 a month. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I found out about the highlights just by accident, because I'm still figuring out the new program. It's through Roku, and we instead of watching football, we watched Ozarks on Netflix last night. And then we said, let's go to bed. It's getting late. And I said, well, I got to find out who won the game. And then I accidentally found where you can click on highlights. And there was like 43 highlights. And Clarence, right? And usually I'm like, okay, you watch the highlights, blah, blah, blah. And this is the first time I ever did this. That game was so exciting. I was jumping out of my chair watching the stupid highlights.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
it's like not something to do when you're trying to get ready to sleep. Because it was bang, bang, bang. And I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
so,
it was unbelievable. Unbelievable, truly. Hey, I wanted to just tell you, in case you didn't know, that Tom Hanks is coming to your neighborhood.
Is it going to be in my neighborhood?
Well, it's in Bellevue.
Oh. Is it? Oh, God, I'm really out of it. I knew it was coming to Pittsburgh. I didn't know it was here. Even better.
No, Tom Hanks is making a movie in Bellevue.
Yeah, the one about a man called Ove.
Yeah, it's like A Man Called Ove, and it's a book I've read and loved. It's a wonderful book. It's a wonderful book.
Did you read any of his other books? This is Frederick Bachman we're talking about.
He's is he? Is he Norwegian
Swedish.
or Swedish? Okay.
Swedish, yeah. But he also wrote a story from a little girl's perspective called "My Grandmother Told Me to Tell You She's Sorry."
Oh, he's wonderful. No, I haven't. Right? Well, it's just he really gets humans. I mean, it's one. Okay, I'll try to look up more of his stuff.
Yeah.
So just wanted you to, in case you bump into Tom, I don't want you to be stunned. I mean, he's maybe
I will be
next door.
stunned no matter what. I'm usually stunned.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Roger. Appreciate the call.
See ya.
Bye.
Right, bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. One of my favorite parts of the Sunday New York Times is Metropolitan Diary, where people send in little things that has happened to them in New York, just little snippets of life. And I got to read one to you. It's so cute. This is sent in by a guy named Hank Goldstein. And he says this: "It was a bitterly cold day on York Avenue. Slush, ice, snow, wind. I had just left the dry cleaners when I saw an older woman wearing a fur and tugging on one end of a taut leash. At the other end, a soup bone of a dog was tugging back with great determination. 'Come on,' the woman said. 'We have to go home now.' The dog just sat. It wouldn't budge. The woman pulled harder. The dog pulled just as hard the other way. There was no give on either end. Finally, the woman looked down and addressed the dog. 'All right already,' she said. 'We'll take a cab.' The leash went slack, and they hopped into a taxi." I love it. Isn't that nice? All right. Oh, no. Don't tell me I've run out. Why does that always happen? When I run out of my fun stuff and I've got 10 minutes left, so I'm going to end on a bummer. God dang it. Little pig went to market. Okay. All right. I'm just trying to figure out what. Well, I do have one more wonderful story, but that means I'm throwing it all away today, and I'm leaving nothing for Susan. And I do like us to have a. But since I've done this, maybe Susan and I'll have to do the rough stuff tomorrow. This I got from the New York Times, and I just loved it. And this goes out to all you feminists out there. I'm looking at a red-faced monkey. This is the kind of monkey that also has a very red behind. It's a Japanese macaque. Oh, wait, speaking of monkeys, what the hell was that? There was a truck that turned over in Pennsylvania somewhere this weekend with 100 monkeys in it, and they got out, and 4 escaped, and are they all caught? The last I heard, there was 1 monkey on the loose. And I mean, in these temperatures and stuff, these monkeys, it just broke, the whole thing broke my heart. I don't even want to talk about it. Why did I even bring it up? But I'm looking at this monkey. This is a better monkey story. It's not so horrific. Because those 100 monkeys, I mean, when you're on the turnpike, you're driving and a truck drives by you, or you drive by the truck, more to the point. Did you ever stop and think there might be 100 monkeys next to you? God. Now they're used for medical experiments. It's your heart. Anyway, but it might be why we have a vaccine. Okay, I'm back to the other monkey I'm looking at. This monkey actually has a name, Yaki. And Yaki has a name because it lives on I want to say reservation. I mean, it's where Japan has put an area where it's a reserve. Better than reservation. It's a reserve for monkeys, and it's been a reserve for these monkeys since 1952. So it's wow. Would think Japan would have a reserve for monkeys in 1952. That's pretty cool. They live on it's on an island. There are about 670 some monkeys, and they're in 2 different troops. And it's a forested place, and they wander around. But when they want their food, they go to a specific place because it's provided for them. And so that's why they have names, because the people who supply the food to the monkeys also get to know them. They watch them, they study them, and they have names. So they see the romances, the politics, all of it. But what's so amazing is that this monkey, this Yaki, who's 9 years old, all of a sudden is the alpha of one of the troops. That does not almost ever happen. The alpha in these monkey worlds are 99.99999% males. By the way, the Japanese macaque is also called the snow monkey, if you're trying to get a picture in your head, and it is native to Japan. Now there are, animal matriarchal societies. Obviously, the bees, right? Think of some more. Elephants. That's a matriarchal and incredibly intelligent, wonderful matriarchal society. Hyenas, folks, are also matriarchal, female-led. But a hostile takeover by a female is so rare in this Japanese monkey society that there have only been a few cases known in the history of primatology. That's how rare. Because this kind of macaque society is a strict hierarchy. The higher the monkey's rank, the greater its access to food, to everything. And females inherit the rank just below their mothers. And they rarely will leave the troop they are born into. Males, on the other hand, once they reach puberty, have to leave unless they want to take on the alpha. And rank can be also gained, obviously, through violence. And that is the norm is male on male violence to take an alpha position. But this female, 9-year-old Yaki, she freaked everybody out. Here's what she did first. She beat up her own mother. She beat up her mom because, as I said before, if you're a monkey, you take the rung right below your mother's rung if you're a female. Well, she thought, I want your rung, Mom. And so she beat up her own mother and claimed the top spot for females in the troop. And while that would be enough for most females, Yaki wanted more. She liked feeling powerful. And so according to the reserve's workers who are keeping an eye on things, Yaki, over the course of months, assaulted 3 high-ranking males. Knocked 3 of them off. And after she'd done that, there was just one monkey ahead of her, and that was the alpha who'd been the alpha for 5 years. Not another male had gone up against him. Nobody had. And Yaki took him on and took him down. Now, here's another thing. He was 31 years old. She, as I said, was 9. So she was younger, and clearly she took him down. It says here he was no match for the younger and determined Yaki. And so she then assumed the alpha place in that troop. Now, this is, and reserve workers, their mouths were hanging open. They thought, they did what's called a peanut test. They put a bunch of peanuts where all the monkeys could see them, a great treat. They wanted to see who ate first. And they watched as males and females and everyone in between stepped aside as Yaki walked up and got the peanuts. Total confirmation for alpha status. So the question now is, who is she? Is she going to maintain it? So this is really being watched now, and apparently because they're in a mating season, this could screw her up because mating rituals make a female have to show submission. And there is some guy who's, expressing great interest in her. She's not expressing any in him. But she's in uncharted territories. So I just want to say, you think American football game is dramatic and exciting? These guys watching this troop of macaques saying it's fascinating because their society is so dramatic. And clearly, because of the story I just told you, unpredictable. All right, that's it. I got it. I made it. And I didn't subject you to anything that will make you unhappy. You're welcome. All right, that'd be it for Susan. So tomorrow we'll head into all the horror, I think, unless I can come up with something else. Okay? Be careful, and damn it, for you people who didn't shovel your walks, I want to tell you, I'm an old lady. I have to walk a dog. I even have those yak tracks. I fell 3 times this weekend. Well, once almost. I was hugging a telephone pole. It was sheer ice. Even the yak tracks just went. And I got a banged up knee. But for somebody who had serious back surgery just a year or so ago, the last thing this old bag wants to do is fall. And I'm telling you, if I fall on your sidewalk, I'm going to own you. Uh-huh. I am. Always call a Bethel Park football player. That's all I'm saying. Have a good one.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.